Hello YouTube, it has been a while since I have last created a video, and now that it's summertime and I'm not in school anymore, and I have work now, but I have a little more free time because I'm not in school. So I'm going to be making a lot more videos this summer. I have a whole list of things I'm going to be redoing and making just brand new videos, and I think you guys are going to like it. And the first videos on my list of things to redo are the PHP and MySQL CMS tutorials. I've gotten emails and comments and messages saying, Melvin, can you please redo those tutorials or send me the code or a video that's in high definition? Because for some reason the quality sucks when I uploaded it to YouTube. So I have gone ahead and I'm going to redo these entire tutorials from scratch using different coding practices and just a little bit different approach, especially with the whole fact that it's going to be in HD so you can actually see the text on the screen. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. First things first, you want to have your web server installed, like I said in the beginning of the original series. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll have a link in the description to a video I have about setting up a web server. And once your web server is installed, you're going to want to go into your MySQL database manager. In this case, it's called PHP MyAdmin. And in here, you're going to create a new database, and we're just going to call it CMS site. Not suit, site. And in here, we're just going to create a table, and this table is going to hold all of our posts. So we're going to say posts, and it's going to have 4 fields. The first one we're going to call ID. It's going to be an integer. Under the attributes, we're going to select nothing. Index, we're going to choose primary, and auto increment. So the ID value will change. It'll increase by 1 every time something's inserted into this table. We're going to make one called title, and it'll be a varchar, and we'll make that. Let's do 100. No, 150 because we might have code in it. And we'll make one called author. That will also be a varchar, and then it will be 100. And then we will have content, and we'll make that. Ooh, geez, what happened here? Let's go back. CMS site. Okay, yeah. I accidentally refreshed the page there, so hiccup. But now we're back. We were going to make a field called content, and this field we're just going to make it a text field, so that way we can have basically might as well be unlimited length of what we can save in there. So with this done, we're going to hit save, and we're going to go back to our CMS site, and we're going to make a table called categories, and it will also have 3 fields. We'll make one called ID, and it will be primary key and auto increment. We'll make one called title and description. These will each be varchars of, this one will be 200, we'll do 250, and this will be 100. And go ahead and hit save, and then we're going to go back to our posts table, and we're going to go to structure, and then we're going to hit edit. And then down here, we're going to insert one field at the end of the table, and we're going to call it category ID. This will be for later on in the tutorial when we're just creating categories and adding posts to different categories. So we're all good there, and we're going to go ahead and insert our first few posts into the database. And right now we're doing it through the PHP MyAdmin, and that's not what we're going to be doing by the end of the series. By the end of the series, we're going to have a web interface set up where a user can go in and add, delete, and modify posts, all without having to log into any backend. So for the title, we're just going to put test post 1. For the author, we're just going to put man. No, let's do John Doe. And let's just go grab some warm Ipsum text for the body. Let's go to paragraph. And you can put code in this thing too, so we're going to separate this with paragraph tags. And for now, we're just going to leave the category ID blank. And we'll do the same thing down here. Test post also. It's called 2. We'll make this one by Jim Barr. We'll do the same thing. We'll post in or paste in some more content. And actually, we'll grab a different paragraph so that way we're sure it works. Okay, so that's done. We're gonna hit go. Okay, it inserted our 2 rows. We got a warning because we left 2 fields empty, but that's no big deal. If we go to browse, we have our 2 posts. So now comes the question of getting the code written to display those posts on a page that somebody can actually read. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to open up our text editor of choice. And once we're in here, what we did is I went through and in the web root of my LAMP server, like I said, check the video in the description if you have any trouble with this. I made a folder called CMS that we're just going to host these project files in. In this folder, we're going to make a folder called includes. And then we'll make one called images for later on. So those are the 2 folders we need for now. And they showed up right here, okay. And we're going to make a new file. We'll call this index.php. And then in the includes folder, we'll make a file called connect.php. And then another one called functions.php. So in our connect.php file, we're going to go ahead and set up our connection to the database. We're going to use, in the previous tutorial we did is we went through, we did localhost, or no, we did MySQL connect, and we just listed out all the variables in here. That's one way of doing it, but if you're trying to be efficient with your coding and not repeat, when you code, you want to try and not repeat yourself as much as you possibly can. And it's a method called dry coding. Don't repeat yourself. Go ahead and Google that if you're curious about more. But we're just going to go ahead and define variables for this. So we're going to make a PHP define variable so we can create a constant. So that way we don't have to worry about it getting modified by any other parts of the script. So we're going to set dbhost equal to localhost, or whatever your host is. You would know this. We're going to make one called dbuser. And this one will be called root. And like I said, if you're using WAMP or XAMPP, the DB user is usually root, and the DB password is probably nothing by default, unless you set one up. And if you did, you obviously know what that is. And we'll make one called DB name, and our DB name was CMS site. Okay, so we have all of our variables set up. We're going to go down below, sorry, constants. And we're going to make our MySQL connection. So we're going to do a variable called connection, and we're going to set it equal to MySQL underscore connect. And we're going to do DB host, DB user, and DB name. And not DB name, pass. So we have, and we'll do or die MySQL error. Okay, now that that's done, we're going to go down below and we're going to do MySQL select database, and we're going to put DB name. So basically all this does is it goes through, sets up a variable called connection, and it says go ahead and connect to the database server localhost using this username and this password, or if not, if that fails, send me an error. And then after it does that, it's going to connect to the database, and that's also going to return an error if it doesn't work. So we're going to put or die MySQL error. Okay, so that's running, and if we go to our index.php file, we can go ahead and include the connection.php file in there, just to test it out. If we go to Google Chrome, do localhost /CMS, and we should see failed to open should no directory index.php. Oh, we forgot to put it in our lead to our includes folder. So includes /connect.php, and refresh. We should see nothing on the page because it connected successfully and it's not returning any errors. So now you're probably wondering, how do we display the data on the page? Well, what we're going to do first is we're going to take this connect.php file, include out of the index page, and we're going to put it at the top of our functions page. Now that that's in here, we're going to make a function, and we're going to call it getPosts. And what this is going to do is we're going to grab all the posts from the database and display them on a page. And the first step is going to be just, I'm going to set up a query equals MySQL. Oh, geez, cannot type today. And we're going to say select all from posts. That's all. Or die. MySQL error. And below that, we're going to make a while statement, and we're going to say while post equals MySQL underscore fetch underscore soch, and we're going to pass in our query variable. And in here, we're basically, for every single post, we're going to do whatever's in between the brackets until there is no more posts left to show on the database. So we're going to do an echo. We're going to do, let's just make an H2 for the title. Post title. And then below that, we'll echo post content. And then if we want, we could get a little bit fancier, and inside of PH2 we could add by, and we'll add the post author. Okay, so here's our getPosts function, and that's that. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to our index page, and we're just going to type in getPosts and of course the parentheses, and then we're going to include our includes/functions.php file. Now with that included, we should go to Google Chrome or whatever your browser is, and if we load this up, it says test post 1 by John Doe. Here's the paragraph for that. Test post 2 by Jim Barr with the paragraph for that. And if you look at the database, that all matches up. Proin elit diam lorem ipsum. So that's it for this tutorial. Keep an eye out for the second part, and I will have the rest of the steps to completing this project.